Look at the controversies section of a Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still think we've got something. If like we've discussed on Critical Misses, I think on possibly on either a pre-show or a production meeting, we need to start, or even on the show itself, we need to start an Are They a Wrongin' website, where it literally just Googles somebody's name with the word controversy, and then if anything pops up, it gives you a little feedback loop.
That's right. It says, your speakers say, yes, he is a wrongin'.
Do not praise.
That's right. Do not praise. He's a wrongin'. Oh, boy. All right, let's make sure that all this stuff works. This new TweetDeck runs like hot trash on my computer. That's great. It's a good sign. Good times.
As always.
YouTube is live. Twitch is live. Whatever this integration with Twitter is, seems to be working. Great. Good, great, grand. I love it. Are you guys ready to start this thing?
Yes. I'm just messing with my groups. Because this is the first time I've ever used groups in Chrome.
Ah, I see. All right. Let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Boston, and joining me as always is Moonpier.
Howdy.
And the Nib.
Hello.
Patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones and numbers.
Get all the cool early access. You can get 2-week early access to We Roguelike It. Sure, Moon and I are working through every roguelike in history. There's only like 10 of them, so the show should be wrapping up here any minute now, right? Get a couple month early access to Critical Misses, show where I roped Moon into watching a whole bunch of movies that mostly I haven't seen, and we're having a grand old time with season 12 right now. If you're at the $5 or higher tier over on Patreon, you'll get early access to. You get exclusive access to our production meeting. We talk for about an hour about kind of looking at our list, kind of talking about, like any show that runs for a while, how it's going to change, if it's kind of still meeting our ideals of what we wanted the show to be. And then we pick what season 12 was going to be at, like the 11th hour for that episode. It's like, what about this? It's crazy enough to work. We're paying for it now, but we made the decision. Things past us.
You're paying for it. I knew what to expect. I've seen that.
I don't know which one. I don't know which one's worse. So if you're at the $5 tier or higher, you'll get that exclusive episode. And if you're at the $2 tier or higher, you get the exclusive Outcast, where we talk about all the other stuff that's going on in our life besides video games. That's uncensored too. If you get your giggles out when we swear, which, I mean, I don't blame you. You can check it over there at patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones and numbers.
Moon, what have you been playing this past week?
Okay, so let's get a relative idea of the speed of the show here. I got 2, one of which is I know Boston shared, and probably the only thing Boston's been playing this
Literally the only thing other than Crown Trick I played this week.
Okay. So, real quick section of the show. Nimp, you might have to raise us up and hold us on high. Kind of
add those numbers.
Section.
Maybe.
he has another big game that came out this week, so I'm sure we got 2 big things to talk about this week.
Look,
true.
I'm enjoying my big thing so much. I don't want to be here right now.
Phrasing.
And I'm sure Boston doesn't want to be here right now.
I would like to be doing other things. It's funny because I didn't play any Horizon Forbidden West this week because I've been playing my big release. God, that wasn't any better. I've been playing my other big game this week. Sorry, I broke Moon. And like, I'm really grumpy that I haven't gotten back to Horizon because I really like it. But there's just like this 800-pound gorilla just being like, well, back to the back to this other thing on the PS5. Let's get back to it. Any hoozle.
Yeah. So with that all in mind, the first game I'm going to talk about is Hitman. Hitman 1.
Yes.
1 for the record. 1.
We
Hitman
haven't yet
1.
made the transition to the sequel.
Correct. Wait for the tweet with a photo of Hitman with 1,230 out of 1,230 on my Twitter timeline. Then you'll know when I'm working on number 2.
I'm not gonna lie, listening to you talk about this last week, I almost downloaded it
Dude.
until it said that it was like 88 gigs, and I'm like, oh, I have to actually clear up space and stuff?
Yeah. What is this?
Welcome to my troubles.
That's right. What am I, Moon?
This is why I'm doing this.
This is the life I live.
The fact that it's actually good to play.
That's walking a mile in Moon's hard drive.
Yeah.
I hate you so much. And you didn't pluralize it. It's 3 hard drives.
I also could have. Let's erase that from the tape. More like you're walking a terabyte in Moon's hard drives. Anyways,
Let's get this array
so
going,
much.
huh? Yeah.
walking a terabyte in Moon's. Anyways, take 3. It's like you're walking a Yeah.
No, I finished Colorado. It's a perfectly fine map. It's not the best. It's not the worst. I do enjoy trying to figure out which outfit I need to be the I'm just going to walk around this map at will kind of thing.
Sure.
I believe in the business. I actually don't know, but I believe in the business. It's called the Helmut Kruger rule, where you just get one outfit and you can go anywhere.
That's right.
Which obviously in Hitman 1, it's Helmut Kruger is the first one you
no
get
one
that you
no one can
with.
stop Helmut Kruger.
Exactly. So I'm enjoying figuring that out for the other levels. I did eventually figure out it was the Marine or the Army officer is the one in the map that I hate is that one.
The M1?
Sapienza is a map I know the name of.
Okay.
Yes, I think it
Hokkaido.
No, Sapienza is the one with the villa and the underground place.
I will confidently say sure.
It's whatever the map is that I'm not naming, because the final map is Hokkaido, which is the one I've been working on, which is really, really interesting.
The cool map.
Yeah, because all of the doors are RFID chip encoded into your clothes, so you can only go through doors for the outfits that you're wearing, so you can't just walk into someone's hotel room, punch them out, and steal their outfit, for example, because it's ID chipped.
I played MGS4. I know what's going on.
Yes, exactly. Nano Machines, son. Oh,
That's
sorry,
right.
that's Revengeance.
That's right. That's right.
I still love that game. The game is so good.
So dumb. We were talking about
gotten way more popular all of a sudden because of memes, it seems like.
Yeah.
It was always great. Everybody just judged it because it was Raiden.
I feel like this is looping into some of the conversations we had in the Outcast of just like dumb and bad B games that turned out to be really incredible.
Yeah. That is definitely one of them.
That's why
just
we have
remember the selling point of Revengeance was, look at how many times I can slice this watermelon.
That's right. That's right. That's
Except,
why we have an
what if
Alpha
that
Protocol
watermelon
award every year.
is somebody's body, and it tells you how many pieces.
That's right. What if it was a
much
Metal
so
Gear?
You can slow down your computer with the amount of pieces that you are cutting people into.
I forgot about that.
Which is hilarious. But anyway, the Hokkaido map is really, really interesting. Like, I'm having fun exploring it around. I've got like 2 things left to do on it, so I'm like a razor's edge away from beating this one, and then I've just got the bonus DLC maps, which I'll see if I do them or not. I probably will because I have a problem.
It's important to know who you are.
Too. Yeah. But I'm getting into that flow now where like I'm getting really good at finding a point where it's like there's like 9 different ways I can kill this person. I'm in a good position. I've got a good disguise. I'm gonna save it here, and then just do 7 different branches and see all of the different ways that I can kill him without without having to go through the whole hassle of 40 minutes of finding the outfit, doing the opportunity, getting into the place, and just enjoying that. Yeah, sure, I'll poison your stem cells, or I will
That's right.
suck all your blood out with these robot arms. Like,
Right.
like it's been fun to just go in, and like I said, my original plan was I'm just going to go in with videos, follow the videos just to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And instead it's turned into a brand new reappreciation of a game that's ridiculously fun. And that Hokkaido level is just... It's also hilarious because there's a dude there who's getting plastic surgery to look like Helmut Kruger.
That's really good.
And if he sees you, he follows you around and basically accuses you of doing the same thing.
That's really good. I like it.
Yeah.
Good job, Hitman.
And the best thing is you can take his outfit to go and have like his meeting with the doctor, and then they take the bandages off and they're like, well, if I didn't know any better, I would say you hadn't had surgery at all. Right before he gets choked out, thrown in a locker, and then I steal his doctor's outfit. You know,
That's right.
one of those moments.
It's all going according to plan.
Like, I'm having way too much fun with Hitman, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's been the perfect distraction for me to give me something to focus on, but not something that I need to 100% think about all the time. Because it does allow you to save it and then load it and then save it and then load it, and there is that quote unquote save scummy way of doing it. But I'm not a Hitman professional. I'm not going to play with nothing turned on and suit only, like that kind of stuff. Like, that's cool if that's the way you play it, but that's not me right now. It might have been me 5 years ago. It might be me in 5 years. Right now, that is not me.
Right.
It might be you if you find out in Hitman 3 there's an achievement for it.
That's right.
There is an achievement for one of the DLC maps for doing Silent Assassin suit only on one of the targets.
Oh, boy.
I'm accidentally already halfway through it, which makes me think I've done the Silent Assassin one. Now I just need the suit only. That's a sniper rifle mission is what that is.
Oh,
I'm just going to get a high point, get a sniper rifle, shoot the dude in the face. Problem solved.
Yep.
And to all government agencies listening, I'm talking about a video game, just so you know.
The Hitman series by IO Interactive.
Mm-hmm. But it's fun. Hitman is great. It's dumb. I love that the Hitman 47 himself is so good at everything. Like in the stupid hotel level, when he goes and he applies to be a drummer, and he's just suddenly great at drumming.
Yeah, that's like one of the all-time classic Hitman great scenes.
And like now, I'm a chef preparing fugu, but I'm doing it in such a way to make sure the person gets poisoned.
Right.
It's like, okay. Does he just like cut it at random, or does he actually know what he's doing? Like,
that's right. He'll never tell.
Who knows? So I don't know. It's fun. I'm enjoying the sit down, let everything else drift away while I listen to a podcast, and then walk around and try and avoid people spotting me or allowing them to spot me, so they follow me into a different room, and then I just punch them in the face and then steal their outfits.
Agent.
The usual. But no, Hitman is great. I'm looking forward to moving on to 2 because I know they improved the mechanics with 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm pretty sure they went like further, like 5 steps with 3.
3 seems incredible.
Yeah, and I cannot remember for the life of me if they've announced that there's no more Hitman games coming, or if there's one more coming, but I'm pretty sure they have a Bond license now. So
yeah, I think they're working on the Bond stuff. I think the Hitman stuff is like, from a story perspective, I believe the Hitman stuff is over at the end of 3, but that certainly doesn't mean they can't be like, all right, here's another Hitman. There's a brand new threat.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what every time one of these series, the trilogies end, it seems like the end, but then now it's not.
Right.
So I don't know. It's fun, and I still like Absolution. Absolution was a great game. Anybody who hates that is just stupid.
Anti-fun.
Which one was Absolution?
That was the one where it was more linear. Like, you could still do a whole bunch of the assassinations, but it had like. Pardon?
That was a 360 one?
Yes, the one where he's trying to protect the little girl.
That's right. I
from
forgot they had the different because there was like what blood something.
Blood Money.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Now
Those
that
were
rings a
okay.
bell.
Yeah,
Yes.
those were all right.
There was Blood Money, something else, which were all like part of the original trilogy. Then Absolution came out, and all the Hitman purists flipped their crap.
Mm-hmm.
And then they released this one, and all the Hitman purists were like, yeah, this is great. But no,
Always been
it's
great.
fine. I like Hitman. It's a great game. It's not Kane and Lynch, but IO are fantastic developers. I've never played Kane and Lynch, and I never want to. Thank you very
This
much.
is really weird. This is like the second time in 2 weeks I'm talking about Kane and Lynch. Second Kane and Lynch game was genuinely really good. I reviewed that at the time. It's a really, really good game. It just is also like 4 hours long, which today, fantastic.
Yeah.
Love it. 5 out of 5. But at the time, like, everybody was like, less than 40 hours, you dare for my $60? My 60 US dollars?
Isn't that when we got the Final Fantasy that was just running in a straight line for 30 hours as well?
Yeah.
That was 13, yeah.
And then everyone dared complain about how that game was more than 30 hours.
The secret about Final Fantasy 13 is all of the Final Fantasy games have done that. They've just dressed it up a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, that's exactly what you do.
Well,
spoiler alert, video games are linear. Weird.
I know the biggest issue I had with it was just the fact that they kept splitting your party members apart. So you never had your full party until you got past the 30-hour mark, and then you had everyone. Yeah. But honestly, I mean, that game was gorgeous, and I enjoyed playing it.
13's a lot of fun. It just has so many problems. 13.2, I love 13.2 so much, and nobody played it.
I've been trying to describe that to my son. I know we're going on a tangent, but like the whole 13 trilogy of, yes, 13 was okay.
It's
13.2 was really good.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 13 Lightning Returns is a weird bundle of stuff that I enjoyed.
It's like a Final Fantasy Majora's Mask. It's a very weird thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check them out. They were fun.
It's a weird series.
Yeah, Final Fantasy, all of them are good except for 2.
And 8 is the best. And we will be moving on to my next game, which is, might as well get it out of the way, Boston. It's The Witch Queen. So you take the lead because you're the boss when it comes to Destiny 2.
We'll talk about this at the end because so many people are babies about Destiny 2 in the way that I'm a baby about Elden Ring. So we'll talk about that here at the end. So if people want to, don't worry. This episode will be well chaptered like usual. So I guess we'll toss it right over to the Nib.
All right. I have been playing this game that everyone has been waiting for, and that is Metal Gear Solid Acid. So
hold on, I need to prep.
Are we talking about the GBA game?
No, these are the PSP ones. I love these two games so much. I'm going to try to control myself. Both of these games are so good. Please continue.
Yes. So, for anyone that has never played these, unfortunately, they are difficult to come by.
Yes.
They only did a physical release for the PSP. There are ways to play it on PC.
Yep.
However you want to go about that. So I still have my PSP version, which is funny because I pulled up my PSP to do, the yearly check of making sure the battery isn't bloated and all that fun stuff.
Yep.
I've had this thing since 2006, and it still holds a full charge, no problem.
Wow, nice. It'll ask you to set the date every time you turn it on, but that's a PSP problem.
Exactly. I bought this thing in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, from the BX there before I deployed.
Nice.
That PSP has seen some action.
It's seen the world.
Still runs like a champ. Yeah,
that's right.
So from there, I was like, all right, I did the battery test. Let me see, what games I can check out, just to make sure everything's still running fine on it. And lo and behold, I look at Metal Gear Acid, and I'm like, yes, I've been thinking about playing another Metal Gear game for a while now. I've been thinking about this particular series for a while now, as people in Discord. Time. Yeah. So popped that thing in, started a brand new save file, and my God, the art style in this game, it's all so I don't know how popular it was, but Metal Gear used to have a comic book.
Yeah.
I think it was Dark Horse.
I remember the
Maybe.
artist's name is Ashley Wood. I think he
Yeah.
did a couple of. There's also like so there's Metal Gear Acid 1 and 2, and then there's an interactive comic game
Yes.
that they put out that is legitimately very good and connects Metal Gear Solid 1 to Metal Gear Solid 2 in a really interesting way.
But everything except for the actual in-game characters, like whenever there's like a cutscene or a storyboard or something that you're looking at, it's all the comic book setup. So
it's
the
all
art
the hand-drawn stuff.
Yeah, it is fantastic. I love that art style, the way it's obscure in a weird way, where it's not clean lines. Like you're not getting like a character drawing. There's like, it looks like they're like wraiths.
Yep.
Where
it's like sketchy and a little bit obscured is probably the best way to put it. It's like, it's really cool.
You don't see it a whole lot. Go ahead, man.
It reminds me of like a little bit more detailed version of the Peace Walker stuff, because
I think that's the same artist.
Yep.
Had the same like cutscene, like graphic novel style stuff.
Yep.
But this looks a little bit more detailed.
Let me see if I can get some of it here on the stream.
This is a tactical card game. Now, I don't mean tactical like Metal Gear tactical. I mean like RPG tactical Disgaea, where you're moving board pieces and on a battlefield. And it is super, super fun. The cards that you get to build your own deck, and you have like all the favorites. Your SOCOM with a suppressor, your FAMAS, grenades, rations, a box.
Is this the one, or is this? I don't remember if they did this in the first one or two, where you have two different cards. One is the gun, and the other one's a suppressor, and you have to use them together to put the suppressor on the gun.
I think they did that in 2. If they did it in 1, they did it further along, because right now the SOCOM does come with the suppressor. The only add-ons that I have is that you can equip like a bulletproof vest card, or you can equip like a scope card, which adds to your accuracy and stuff like that. So you move around in a on tiles on a grid in your little map, and they're all like little areas. You basically pick, hey, I'm going to Factory West, and then you have like this little area that you run around in, and it is surprising how well it works.
Yeah,
and I think that's why I like it so much, because you don't think it would work based on how you play a Metal Gear game, and then you play this and like, no, this is surprisingly well thought out.
Well, and it kind of has everything you want too, because like the thing that I always liked is you're building your own deck.
Yep.
So you kind of make the deck you really want to do, but it still has the same thing where it's like in the video here on the live stream, Snake is laying down to try and evade some lasers that are here. It's kind of got everything you would need in a Metal Gear game, but it's a turn-based grid sort of RPG, I guess, but like a tactical thing. It has always been a really, really cool game, and unlocking and discovering all these the guns and items and all that stuff has always been really great.
Yeah, and they've got, as you play the game, depending on the map, you'll find card packs that you can pick up.
Yes.
And eventually you'll get different ones, but right now the only ones I can get are the MSG1 card packs.
Yeah. And
it's just all kinds of weird random stuff in there. But after you beat a mission, you get like these points, then you can go into the shop and you can buy card packs, and then you get like, your random luck draw of 3 cards from this card pack, and then you just continue on your merry way.
Yeah.
I don't fully remember how grenades work in this game.
I remember them well enough to remember that I was always confused by them.
They have a time delay on them, or a turn delay on them.
Yeah.
And I thought I had it figured out that it was like 2 turns and then they'll go off. So you're trying to time throwing a grenade to where the enemy is going to eventually be.
Yeah.
If you're going to even use it. And so far, I think I got it right once, and that was because a guard just happened to walk back into the same affected area before it went off, and then it went off. So, but I just keep doing my same Metal Gear shenanigans where it's like, well, I have a SOCOM, but I also have a FAMAS, and I can shoot that guy with 75% accuracy 20 times with the FAMAS as opposed to the 4 times with the SOCOM. So let's just make it loud and see what happens.
Yeah, I love these games so much, and it's one of those things that I feel like it's always sort of been a crime that they're stuck on the PSP, because I feel like, especially putting both of these games on the Switch, porting the second one would probably be really hard because it was so reliant on using the 3D goggles that it came with, which is its own separate craziness. But I really wish these would at least come to the Switch, because so many people missed out on it because either they weren't old enough at the point, or they just didn't have a PSP. And these two games are legitimately really great.
Or they just weren't aware of it, because there are tons of people that I know that don't even know that these were actual games.
Yep.
I don't remember there being
reminds
any.
Me of Peace Walker.
Yeah, 100%.
Was the same. Like, everyone brushed Peace Walker off because it was like, well, that's just, a PSP game. And it's like, no, dude, Peace Walker is legitimately Metal Gear Solid 5. And then, spoiler alert, MGS5 comes along, and it's just Peace Walker.
Yeah, it's just a Peace Walker sequel. Yeah.
I also enjoy the fact that you have passwords that you can input, which you can find on any website now because the games have been out forever. And you get the cards of the Japanese actresses. Models.
Like swimsuit models, which
so they've kind of kept the weird posters / magazines in the game by just making them a card and to be able to distract the guards with. It's just fun Metal Gear stupidity.
It's a crazy thing.
Yeah,
I love it.
I still really love that. I've been playing it off and on. Like, I'll do like a map, like one day, one map, just to kind of keep up with it. But I just wasn't expecting it to really suck me back in.
Yeah, these games are great.
Yeah. So my next game, the real game that everyone wants to listen to or skip, is Elden Ring.
Yes.
Look out for those tags, folks. Whole bunch of stuff you probably don't want to hear about today.
Well, so because of that, I'm going to kind of just talk about the game through how I've been playing it and not really get into the nit and gritty of everything. Just because it has only been out for like 2 days now and people are still messing around with it. So I got this game. The week before it came out, I was still like, oh, I'm planning on buying it. But I wasn't like all hyped up about it, and I think the closer we got to it, I kind of just got like contact hype from everyone else in other communities.
Yep. So, I've seen several members of our community buy this game, and I can't help but think to myself, that's not a game that I think you'll enjoy. If you do, great. All right, this might not be for you. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
they've changed a lot, so this may be kind of the one to recommend to new people, and I'll get into that a little bit. But so far I've put in 10 hours into the game since it came out Friday. I chose Wretch, which is basically you start naked but you have a club and that's it. All of your stats are set to 10, so you kind of have a rounded character, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. The magic in this game looked cool, and something that I kind of wanted to play around with, but I'd never used a magic class before, so I didn't know how feasible that really would be. So that's what I was like, I'll just go Wretch. It keeps everything at a baseline, and I can just kind of spec out from there. So when you start out, you end up in a cave eventually, and there's 2 paths you can take. One is just basically, hey, take this way, and this will take you out to the map. This other way is that you can jump down into this cave system, and it's kind of like a tutorial where it's like, hey, do this, do that. This is how you jump. There is jumping in the game.
Nice.
It's still really weird to wrap my head around. Like, to the point that I forget in boss fights that it's something that I can use. So, but out in the world, like, I do it all the time to enemies. So I have my horse. Its name is Torrent. It can double jump. So that is what you use for the
Wow.
most part for exploration.
I love it.
Your horse can die. It is if it does die, it's supposed to bring it back. You're supposed to lose like a crimson flask or whatever, which is basically the Estus, the healing flask in this game.
Mhm.
But I don't know if mine's glitched or what, but so far it has not used it anytime I've resummoned the horse after it's died, which has
Okay.
been a couple of times.
So when you say use, do you mean permanently get rid of a max quantity, or just use one as in a single time, like use it until you get to a bonfire thing?
Use it until you get to a bonfire thing.
Okay.
So,
Okay, that's not too bad. I was worried
Yeah,
they were
no.
going to minus your negative top.
no.
like, total.
There's also with the horse, there's like berries and stuff that you can find and get to feed the horse to bring up its health.
Nice.
But it seems like its health kind of regenerates, over the course of time of you not using it or using it. I don't know. You don't see a health bar with the horse. It's just 1 minute you're fighting with it, and the next minute you're on the ground and everything is stabbing you. So it's kind of hard to gauge. Crafting is a thing that they've added to this game. I have not used it a whole lot, so I don't have a whole lot to say about it. But there's items throughout the areas that you can just grab for crafting.
Okay.
I have like 200 and some odd of this one flower that I can't craft anything with it yet, but I have a bunch of them in case it turns out to be something that I want. No problem for me. I grab everything. There's literally stuff everywhere you go. So it's just you walk by and hit X and you just keep going.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, no problem whatsoever. You can also do it from your horse. You don't have to get down from your horse either.
That's huge. That's nice.
Good.
I like
Yeah.
when games do that.
Which was why I kind of had these two together, because your horse actually handles really well. Not only do you not have to get down to grab like random materials on the ground, when you kill someone, you don't have to get down to pillage the bodies or anything.
Oh, nice.
Combat with the horse is really tight. It's almost like playing Tsushima in a weird way.
Oh, okay.
Where it doesn't necessarily turn on a dime, but it turns fast enough that it doesn't feel like you're on a tank or something. And combat's just a simple, your L1, R2, you're light and heavy. If you do R1, R2, you're going to be attacking on the right side of the horse. If you do L1, L2, you're attacking on the left side of the horse.
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
You can jump off the horse and do an attack. I haven't figured out how to do that yet.
Yeah,
but
I bet it looks super cool though.
Yeah, it's apparently in there somewhere. The open worldness of this game is something that I'm really enjoying. The exploration part of it. When you start, you don't have a map. You have to find pieces of the map in the world so that way you can get like a topology map, basically.
My weakness.
The best part is, though, the map does not fill with icons.
Okay.
It's just a blank map. I mean, obviously you can see like the hand-drawn map, but there's no icons on this map until you find something, and then it puts an icon on your map.
Okay.
So you don't have like this weird
Borgia Tower thing.
Yeah, there's nothing for you to climb or nothing for you to do to see, okay, here's points of interest on the map or whatever. It's literally you discover it, it shows up. If you don't discover it, you never know it's there.
Okay. I kind of dig that.
I actually had a cave that I just found today in an area that I've walked through probably like 20, 30 times. Never noticed this cave until today and walked in there. It was full of wolves. I took out the boss in the cave, and then I got an item, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then just continued on my merry way. Didn't even know that thing was there the entire time I'd gone by it.
I kind of dig that as like a kind of a hands-off approach where it's sort of like, yeah, I mean, like we could point at and be like, I hear, your character could be like, I hear a boss around. Or the game could just be like, yeah, man, if you saw it, cool. If you didn't, I don't know, explore a little bit more, whatever.
Well, and I kind of like it because we've all talked about how we've played open world games and you look at the map and there's just like 40 things there and everyone kind of gets like that deer in the headlights look up. I don't know what to do.
I mean, even
the Assassin's Creed problem.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even Forza Horizon 5 was better about that, but it was still like, you cleared this thing, blah! Like, here's all the icons. It's like, oh, God, okay.
And I kind of like how this game does this, where, for me, I don't know that cave is there, so I don't know that I'm missing it. But I
Right.
found this other thing that I didn't know that was there that gave me this cool, boss fight and got me this cool item. So, and I'm really enjoying how they did that with this. Like,
Yeah.
there's never anything that, since everyone's comparing this to Breath of the Wild, how they talked about with Breath of the Wild, where there's like, oh, you see something and they draw your eye to something to let you know, hey, there's a thing over here for you to explore. There's really none of that.
And
So,
I think that what's so interesting about that is, as someone who hasn't really played any of the Dark Souls games, I played and liked Demon Souls a lot. But this kind of feels like the next, not necessarily the next iteration of the From Software kind of formula, but it feels like, well, if we were to make a really big game, if we're going to make this kind of like open world or at least semi-open world game, how would the Dark Souls, Demon Souls, kind of the Soulsborne ethos, how would that fit into this genre? And it feels like that's kind of the natural extension of it, where it's like, yeah, you have this giant, or assumingly giant open world that kind of has a million nooks and crannies, and we're just gonna kind of let you do your thing. Like, go nuts and discover. Like, if you want to draw your own map, great. If you want to use one online, whatever. Like, bring a notebook, make some notes, do some cool stuff.
Yeah, and that is highly suggested, having notes on something as you play. But that's also not to say, bringing back my point, that it's not necessarily drawing your eyes or your attention to a certain thing. There are things that you can see in this world, like this giant glowing tree.
Probably
okay,
important.
That's probably something. I can go there and check that out. But meanwhile, there's this valley that I went into, and there was a bunch of other random stuff that I found in this valley that nothing was indicating that it was there. It's just, gamer intuition. Oh, there's a hole in the ground that's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I bet there's treasure in there.
Yeah, the best one that I had found recently, and I actually found it today, was I went into a new forested area, and as I'm checking this area out, I just found a random building. I'm like, well, that's cool. Go into the building, and there's just an elevator there. All right, let's ride the elevator down, see where it goes. About 30, 40 seconds later, like, I finally get to the bottom of the elevator shaft.
Oh, wow.
And it is a massive underground area. Like, you don't even get halfway through it, and all of a sudden it just opens up, and you're seeing, like, stars underground, massive buildings. Like, this looks like something out of Skyrim, or even Morrowind with, like, the Underdark stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'm down there, and I'm like, I don't know if I should be down here or not.
Right.
Because nothing in this game level scales. So you can literally go anywhere and get yourself screwed, which I have a story for that later. So I just kind of slowly walk forward, and then I see a couple enemies, draw them to me. I'm like, all right, let's see how hard they hit. Let me see how hard I hit them. I could take them, but it seems like it's going to be a lot of work. So this is on my map. I'm going to get back out of here and go explore something else for right now.
We'll see you guys later.
Yeah. My little short story about being at the wrong place at the wrong time, and everyone has talked about a chest like this. I don't know if there's more than one or not, but I did find a chest that randomly teleports you to another spot on the map.
Oh no.
I saw a video of this, and it was hilarious because they opened the chest, the smoke came out, and they ran away before anything happened. And then the smoke dissipated, the chest closed, they went back, they opened the chest, stood in the smoke, and then just got teleported.
Great.
So, like I said, I don't know if it's the same chest for everyone. I don't know if it sends you to the same location every time for everyone or what. But for me, it sent me all the way to the east in an area I'd never been to before. I was underground, and of course, immediately where I was at, it basically spawned me into a hut. And I could see things outside of the hut. Like, well, I don't want to be here. I'm going to warp back to a different Grace, so that way I can just continue on exploring. It won't let me warp out of here.
Oh, no.
Like, okay. So, well, let me crouch, because crouching is also a new thing you can do in this game. Let me shadow somebody, attack them, and see how much damage I can do to see if I can even fight these guys. Mistakes were made. I could not, and by alerting that one person, that alerted everybody in the cave, including spellcasters that I didn't know that were there.
Oh no.
And I pretty much died immediately. So the other crap thing is, normally when you die, it sends you back to the last grace or another statue that you've been to.
Mm.
This one just spawns you directly to where you teleported to from the treasure chest.
Oh,
So
no.
I was back in that cave. Like,
Oh,
my
no.
God. So like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I have no clue where I'm at in this cave. I have no clue how far down I am, how to get out of here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run to at least where my souls are at. I'm going to try to find a way out of here.
Yeah.
And I did that, ran past everybody, got my souls back, ran past bigger things that I didn't even know were in that cave.
Oh, jeez.
Jumped off a ledge, managed to find like a light source down a hallway, ran towards that, hoping it was anything but just another torch. Luckily, it was an actual grace that I could go, which that's the bonfire in this game.
Mm.
So I rested at that to reset all of them, so I didn't have a horde of things chasing me down a tunnel that I could do absolutely nothing about. And luckily, I happened to be not too far away from the entrance of this mine shaft, walked outside, and when I got outside, it was like red skies, smog, definitely looked like an end of a world kind of thing. Like,
Oh, no.
I should not be here.
This is all bad.
Yeah. But luckily, since I was topside again, I could go and warp to any grace that I had already found.
Oh,
so
nice.
I warped back to an area that I could figure out. But now that mine shaft is on my map, that I don't even have like that map fragment. So it's basically like this fog of war area, and there's just an icon there that lets me know, hey, you found this mine shaft.
Right.
I'm like, good. I know where that is. For
I know
40
something
hours
terrible
from now.
Yeah.
And that's just some of the weird, dumb stuff that just happens in this game. Like, you just happen upon stuff.
Yeah.
And I really like it. For those that are like, well, I kind of want to know what I need to do next, or, story-wise where I should be going. With the graces, when you activate a lost grace, you will then see from that grace, there's like a yellow light that kind of just goes off in a direction. It's a guiding light. It doesn't go too far, but it just generally points you towards a general direction.
Like, hey, you should go northwest from here if you want to get to the next thing. Okay.
The other thing, too, is that when you pull up your map, it will also show you on that map which way that grace is guiding you.
Oh, cool. That's
so, yeah, so you don't have to be there and constantly looking to see, where you're trying to go. And the grace can lead you to a bunch of different things. I'm assuming right now it's just kind of pointing me towards the next important thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also had it point me towards other graces, which then continue, the guiding path.
Sure.
This one guiding path brought me to this tower that had an ogre, what I'm calling an ogre. It could be a giant, I don't know. That was all the way at the top. As soon as I got anywhere near that thing jumped down. And I'm talking like hundreds of stories. It jumped down and decided that it wanted to start beef with me. I'm like,
man,
no. And I just turned around and ran.
Yep.
So you do have a lot of that where it's like, no, I don't want to deal with this. And then you just turn around and go do something else. Like, you're completely able to just do that. That's actually managed to find a way to get around that particular area because there's a bunch of cliffs to the side of it. And there's also like this wind vortex thing that when your horse jumps through it, it like flings them up in the air so that you can get further out somewhere.
Oh, okay.
So this basically flung me up onto the cliffs, and I could just run around that area, and I was up there next to the tower where the thing was standing at. It's like I could have fought him up there if I wanted to. I didn't. So I just kept running around and finding different things.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's been my game so far, is just exploring and doing dumb stuff.
That sounds cool.
The new thing that they've added are the summons. This is something I'm not entirely sure how you unlock it. I got it from this witch with like 4 arms.
Yeah.
Where she just gave me a bell and another set of summons and was like, here you go. Now you can summon stuff. And you can't just summon them anywhere. There are certain spots in the world where you'll have this icon that'll pop up on your HUD, and that lets you know, hey, you can summon, whatever creatures you have there. They don't follow you all over the world map because eventually they'll dissipate from that area once you leave that area. So everyone who's complaining about, oh, summons make the game too easy and stuff, they don't. I mean, they add an extra. Yeah. I mean, it adds an extra decoy there, but it's not like the summons themselves are going to take out a boss for you. Like if you don't engage,
it's not like Final Fantasy.
Yeah, if you don't engage, the boss is going to kill the summons and then come after you. So it's just like an extra aggro buffer there.
Right.
So
Kane and Lynch, I love it. Sorry, that's more like Army of Two.
For people who are also like, well, I really wanted to play, with how, Dark Souls dungeons, I want it to be that fixed kind of tight quarter combat stuff that is still in the game. A couple of the catacombs that I found have reminded me of how the Chalice dungeons were in Bloodborne.
Oh, okay.
There's apparently like 3 different kinds of dungeons where I think it's like catacomb, medium, and then like legacy. And legacies are like these huge areas that's basically like a Dark Souls area where it's all interconnected and all that stuff.
Cool.
So you get like the shortcuts and all that stuff in those dungeons. I haven't found any of those. I've mostly messed around with the catacombs and the medium size stuff, just because that's what I've happened to find. And you get all kinds of weird random rewards and weapons and stuff like that from playing them. So they're fun to check out. There's all weird traps and dumb crap in there.
Dark Souls stuff.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to find a mimic. I don't know if they're in this game or not, but I always swing at a chest just to see what happens.
Yes, that's the safest way of doing it.
Let's see, and then that's pretty much it. I know. So as of Friday, they released a day 1 patch, which has caused issues on the PC, which I find funny, because a lot of people have been complaining about it, that it's unplayable. It isn't. It's just PC snobs that are mad that
there's a lot of like frame stuttering stuff, like some minor frame rate stuff.
And it seems to vary from person to person. Some people absolutely not having any issues. Other people, they're having some frame stuttering here and there during like boss fights and stuff, which sucks. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But it's not all the time.
I've seen some pretty extreme stuff, but it doesn't seem to be widespread.
I'm playing on the PS5, and I've had some frame drops here and there. I'm playing on performance mode, so I can get the 60 FPS.
Yeah.
Some minimum frame drops here and there, and I get some pop in every once in a while. Like very rarely do the pop ins happen for me.
I mean, that's going to happen in an open world game anyway. So like that's kind of, to me, that's like part of the experience.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're interested in getting in PC, I mean, go for it.
Do they have like a demo or a benchmark or anything? Do you know of?
I have no clue, honestly.
I feel like I haven't heard.
Yeah, I haven't heard anyone mention it.
Yeah.
Mostly because the people who are complaining are legitimately PC snobs who are like, well, my $2,000 plus computer should be able to handle this. My 3090
can't run this game at 4,000 frames.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just dumb people whining about stuff. Some people saying that this is worse than Cyberpunk. No, there are no videos or anything out on the internet that are anywhere near as broken as Cyberpunk was.
And also, like, open world jank is a term for a reason. Like, especially this is a huge game that From Software hasn't really made before. There's gonna be a rough, like a rocky launch. Like, if this was like Dark Souls 3, it's like, come on, man, that should launch smoothly. Like you've knocked us out of the park before, but they're trying something new and pretty big. So you gotta.
And not to defend them, but Bandai Namco is not exactly known for their PC ports. So I mean,
that would be putting it mildly.
Yeah. So I mean, just take it with a grain of salt. But eventually, like all the other Souls games work fine on PC now. They've been out for years. They've been patched and fixed. Unless Bandai Namco completely decides to drop the ball, which I doubt, because this seems like the most highest selling Dark Souls like game that's out there right now.
Like if they haven't patched it in 2 days, that's fine. If they haven't patched it in a month, that's not okay.
Yeah.
Like it just launched.
Yeah. So I go for it. If you got it for console, go ahead and get it on console. I think on Xbox there were some networking issues here and there.
I heard something about that.
Yeah, but I haven't experienced any of that on PlayStation yet. So whatever, just like any other brand new game that just came out, go forth with caution.
Yeah, exactly.
but yeah, if you're the type of person that's like, oh, this game, it seems too easy or whatever, you don't know what you're talking about, play it, you will get your butt happily handed to you.
Yeah, it's still a From Software game. Like,
yeah, there are aspects that playing with the summons does kind of feel a little easier, but it also feels really cool. So
Yeah.
I don't mind the fact that I summoned 3 wolves and we just went to town on this camp. That was
Hell
really
yeah, man.
fun.
How can you go wrong with that?
Yeah, the thing with stealth and the backstabbing, I enjoy that way too much. Where it's just hiding in bushes and stuff and waiting for someone to walk by, and then you just stab them in the back. I mean,
That's
it's
right.
fantastic.
It never gets old.
Yeah. And that also brings, and this is the last thing I'll bring up, that also brings about how you find these campsites, and because it's open world, you can go about taking them on however you want. If you just want to walk into the middle of the camp and bring everyone to you, do it. If you want to see how many of them you can take out quietly, you can.
Yeah.
If you want to jump on top of a tent and wait for someone to walk by and jump down on top of them and slice them in half, you can do it.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
I mean, there's a lot of cool, fun diversity in here that you normally don't have in a Souls game.
That's true. Yeah.
Only thing it's missing is a glider.
Yep. I haven't seen anyone use a glider, but maybe. You got a cool horse at least.
Yeah,
a double jumping horse.
So, but yeah, that's Elden Ring. My non-spoiler suite. I love it. I want to play it. I would rather be doing that. So.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. That's the mark of a good game.
Yeah. So, take it away, Boston. How's your rather be playing game?
Yes. How's my big game this week? Yes, Destiny 2: The Witch Queen. Moon, have you finished the campaign? Have you started the campaign?
I have got to the point where it says it's my next task will be available next week.
That's the season. Have you started?
Then I have done that.
Okay, so that's the hard part about this game is there's a lot going on the first week where it's interesting because they launched the season at the same time because the season ties directly into the story of the Witch Queen. So I think the game encourages you to do the Witch Queen where you land on Mars and you do some Cabal stuff and you get on the big...
I've done all of that stuff.
Okay, so you've probably done like the first 2 or 3 missions.
I met Finch, who I think is misnamed and should be called Flinch.
Yeah,
so much.
Finch is great. Finch has a really great voice. That guy's voice actor is really good. I have finished the campaign, which is way longer than I was expecting to be in a positive way.
Okay, so I probably haven't finished it yet. I'm definitely probably working my way through it. There are some questions I need to ask of you at some point. But we'll get there when we get there.
We'll do that offline because I don't want to spoil anything. It's
not about like story beats or anything like that. It's specifically about your ultimates.
Oh, the new supers. Yeah. So
yes, like
oh god, yeah. I'm gonna try not to go super inside baseball and too deep on this one, but part of what they launched at the same time was what they're calling Void 3.0. So essentially they are, when they launched the last expansion, Beyond Light, they brought a new subclass in for Stasis, which is that essentially ice powers. And part of the cool part about that subclass is you kind of have your one super, and then you have your 3 main abilities. So like your melee, your grenade, and then your class ability, which is different for each one of the classes. And then you kind of have 2... I think they call it aspects. It's basically large changes you make to your class, and there's a handful of them, so you can kind of make that subclass how you want it to be.
Yes.
So, like, as part of a warlock, I can charge up and throw down a stasis turret, kind of far away from me, that shoots and freezes enemies. That's one of my aspects. And underneath that are fragments, which are all kind of tiny little ways of changing your class. Most of them have a trade-off where it's like, okay, you can do this cool thing, but one of your stats is going to take a hit. Or you can do this little thing, but one of your stats is going to get boosted. So they've taken that framework and applied it to the Void subclass, which is one of the 2 original subclasses in the game.
And so they haven't done anything for that for Ark or Soul yet.
Correct. One of those is going to come next, and then the last one will.
Okay, so I haven't missed something by.
Correct. Yeah. If anybody is playing Destiny, please go talk to Ikora in the tower. She has like 4 more grenades for you to get. I do not know why they did that, and I don't know why they don't point you at it.
1,000 glimmer.
Yeah, they cost literally nothing. So it's kind of neat to see. My as a warlock, I played Void to begin with, so it's really interesting to come in.
Delete people.
I like to delete 2 people, which I do a lot less now, but I have a much cooler loadout. It's neat to see the class that I loved and the class that I played change so significantly to be so different, but kind of in an interesting way. Now I cast my healing rift thing. I now have this little void orb that goes out and attacks people that I'm attacking, damages them, and steals their health.
Are you playing as a warlock?
Yeah. Warlock is my main. I kind of dabble in the other 2, but they're not. I only have so many hours in the day. Unlike some YouTubers.
You don't have 3 full sets of armor for everybody.
No. I wish. There's some really cool stuff. So Void 3.0 so far seems really good. We've unlocked a majority of the stuff. Once the first team clears the new raid that's launching on Friday, the rest of the stuff for Void will unlock. And assuming the rest of the stuff in the game, kind of like what happened in Beyond Light. So I finished the campaign, which is about 8 missions long. Each one of those missions is at least an hour and a half long. Like, they are of significant length. I have dabbled in the legendary difficulty. So normally in a Destiny campaign, you have the campaign, it's usually easy as hell, and you just kind of mow your way through it, no big deal. That's what the normal difficulty is. That's how I played it the first time. It's great. The final boss battle is still really tough, even on normal. I'm a little scared of it on legendary. But the neat part about legendary is it's available from the beginning. Unlike other stuff in Destiny 2, each one of the missions are replayable. So you can just go pick those from the map in the Throne World, and you can go replay those, which is nice. Legendary is not impossibly hard, but it's significantly harder. So if you really want a real difficult challenge, you can pick that from the very beginning. They do the thing that I like in Destiny where essentially your power level is capped, and then the enemies are like 15 or 20 power above you. So you're taking more damage, you're doing less damage to them. I think it's only 15 or 20, so it's not something like Grandmaster Nightfall where you're like 30 or 40 under. Nothing like that. So it's a challenge, but it's not impossible. I'm about halfway through the campaign. I've tried it a little bit solo. That was a lot of fun. Tried it with 3 people. It scales. So the difference between doing solo and doing 3 people is incredible. There are so many more enemies when there are 3 people there. It's crazy. But the challenge is really nice as someone who's been playing Destiny for a while. This is the best campaign that Bungie has ever made. Sorry. This is the best campaign Bungie has made in Destiny. I don't want to cast aspersions on Halo. I'm certainly no like Halo expert or anything. It's the best campaign they've made, and it's not even close. I think you can look at stuff like The Taken King in Destiny 1, which is an incredible campaign. You can look at something like Forsaken in Destiny 2. I liked Beyond Light as well, personally. To me, this is so far and above what those have given, largely because myself and others have always leveraged the complaint against Destiny, which is, all right, a new campaign comes out, you do the introduction mission, man, that was super cool, and it dumps you back in the world, and it's like, let's do 5 patrols and 2 lost sectors, and let's get your armor up to X. And it's just like, no, I want to go do the cool thing. You're stopping me from doing the cool thing. The campaign doesn't do any of that. So essentially, the interesting way that they have mitigated that is you get 2 or 3 or 4 treasure chests throughout each individual mission.
Oh,
So
nice.
you finish one big fight or mini boss or boss, they give you a chest that usually has a piece of armor and a weapon and materials to upgrade in it. So they're not only giving you the stuff where it's like, okay, here you can infuse this stuff into your gear, and here's the material to infuse it. So you don't have to go back to the tower to get this thing, to buy the blah, blah, blah. None of that stuff. Like, they just dump that stuff on you a couple of times a mission. So by the time you're done with a mission, you usually get a cool cutscene. You go back to Mars to talk to someone. Maybe you craft a weapon or two. I'm not even going to get into weapon crafting. I haven't scratched the surface of that. And then by that point, you're ready to just go in the next mission. And maybe if you didn't get a great drop or whatever, or maybe you haven't been sort of farting around with like the season stuff like I have, or any of the weapon crafting, maybe you're like a light level or 2 underneath it. That's fine. Clear 1 fight. They'll give you more stuff. You can infuse it. So this doesn't sound like a radical idea, because this is mostly how video games work, but you can kind of just go straight through the campaign and not have to take any side quests or missions or anything, which it is a huge change, because it's not this like 60 mile an hour to stop to do 10 miles an hour in a lost sector, and then 60 miles an hour.
It always felt like this weird artificial padding.
Yes.
With new, obviously back when I played, my old man time.
Back in my day.
But it always felt like they were doing that just so that you couldn't just burn through the content, because they didn't really have anything else lined up, and that was always kind of an issue, especially with everything being RNG. Well, I don't know how it is now, but back then, how everything was RNG at the time, so you were kind of getting this weird double whammy of, I just need this one thing, but I can't get it to drop, so I can't continue on with...
I can't keep doing the fun thing that I'm doing. Yeah, and it is interesting, because once you get into the throne world, which is the big open area for this expansion, you do meet Finch, who is your kind of the person on the ground in the throne world. And
yeah, he's your British dude who drinks tea from the EDZ.
Yes. And he is the one that's giving you your missions and giving you rewards and stuff like that. He gives you a number of quest lines. Sort
about
of
exploring the area.
Yeah, like go do some of these patrols and go do some of this stuff. So you can do that stuff, and you get really well rewarded for it this time, which is nice, as opposed to...
I was very rapidly made aware that I should not do lost sectors when I'm still at like 1350.
They're tough, man. They're really tough. But yeah, it's been really nice, because like if you want to take that detour and kind of take a break from doing the campaign, you can do the seasonal stuff, which we'll get to in a minute, or you can just do some stuff for Finch, which you're well rewarded for in the quests and in kind of his rewards that he gives you as you're ranking him up. But it's kind of nice that you don't have to, but I have been enjoying, like, all right, I did a bunch of that stuff. I'm going to go see what Finch wants to do. I'll go explore some of this stuff, get a little bit of a change of pace here. So far, the Throne World seems really good. It seems like every time I'm turning around, there's like, yeah, there's this cool secret here that you need to get an upgrade for in the Throne World, and then it'll probably unlock a whole different area. So,
oh yeah, I'm guessing we're talking about Deep Sight.
Yeah, Deep Sight is like an orby thing that you can interact with, and it makes platforms appear and walls disappear and secret pathways open up. And
yeah, it's similar to the mechanic in the last expansion when you were going into the dream realm or whatever it was.
Yeah,
you had to interact with those pillars, and the pillars would appear.
Yep. Yeah, it's very similar to that, but it's kind of an interesting way where narratively in the game, it's kind of handled in a cool way where you're kind of opening like back passageways in the throne world, and a lot of times you'll open these secret doors and it'll just be full of cobwebs, and you can tell people haven't been there for a really long time. So you're kind of opening these secret shortcuts through other stuff. It's largely the same thing we've been doing for a little bit, but I think narratively they kind of spin it in an interesting way. Um, they dropped like 45 new weapons. Like, I feel like every time I'm kind of tripping over a new gun, that because of crafting, you're kind of encouraged to juggle.
Experiment.
Yeah, and I have found some stuff I really like the new Mars fusion rifle is really good. I don't remember the name of it. Uh there's like a really good grenade launcher that's good. The new assault rifle from the season, or the new auto rifle, is really good. But again, I haven't scratched the surface too much of the weapon crafting. It seems pretty cool so far, but I'm not sure. It's a mechanic that will stick around for a couple of years, so it's really hard to determine how good or bad it is now after like 4 days, because I'm still even learning, like, oh, a weapon dropped with a red border, so I need to use it until the bar fills up, and then I get things to do something somewhere. Okay, cool. Yes, I will keep working on it. Witch Queen so far is really good. I think I keep running into new things. Obviously, I am after playing for 4 days. Usually what they do is once the first team clears the new raid, which launches on Friday, usually something happens in the game, because narratively something interesting will happen, and then kind of the open world thing will change, and usually a whole bunch of extra stuff unlocks. So we're kind of only getting a part of Witch Queen's picture here. Also, if anyone's playing this and they're hopping in for the first time, you don't have to clear the raid to get all that stuff. It's just like in the story, like, oh, someone cleared the pyramid raid. So we'll see what happens next week. The raid group and I won't be able to run the raid because it launches on a Saturday. We won't run it this week. We'll run it the next week. So not next episode, but the next episode after that, I'll have some impressions about the raid. But the interesting thing is, unlike before, where they would delay the season launch, they launched season 16 at the same time, because you're off in the throne world doing your thing for this whole Savathun storyline, the bad guy. And then on Earth, and like in the main tower and everything, everyone else is kind of dealing with the other side of the conflict of, here are all these bad guys that now have light abilities like we do. So how are the allies we've been gathering this past year of content, how are they going to defend their stuff while we're kind of over there on the offensive? So that stuff is kind of neat, that they're narratively tying it into the Witch Queen stuff day one, instead of, last season you did that stuff over in the throne world, now we're catching back up. Like, it's already doing some interesting stuff. They are introducing some new, they're called battlegrounds. They're essentially mini strikes. They're about the same length, but they usually have kind of less mechanics to them. So far, the first one seems pretty good. The interesting change they made is, before they had this thing called the strike playlist, and it just queues up a random strike. Now that's called the Vanguard Ops playlist, I think. And essentially, they're rolling battlegrounds into that. So it's not just strikes, it's strikes and other stuff to kind of keep the variety up, which is really nice. So far, the seasonal stuff seems really cool. It's a whole nother set of weapons and armor over there as well, too. So there's just, I'm just drowning under incredibly cool weapons, and there's a whole bunch of new perks, and each weapon type has its own inherent perks now too, which is something that they're kind of minimizing a feature of guns now, which is you don't really have to masterwork stuff because those don't generate orbs anymore. And as a result, now like each weapon manufacturer has its own intrinsic perk. So like the weapons that are dropping from the throne world, if you do sustained damage on an enemy for a couple of seconds, their damage output gets significantly decreased. And that's just an inherent perk that is on every single throne world weapon. And if you look at like the weapon manufacturer Suros, they do something different. Viced, they do something different. So like it's kind of a neat extension of what the game has already done.
Is it only just like perks and stuff like that, or do they change it too, where it's like, oh, they shoot a little differently depending on vendor? Or
so they've sort of always done that. Like, so let's take Viced as an example because it's kind of a personal favorite of mine. Viced is all about being a bullet hose and never stopping shooting. So a lot of their stuff is high magazine size with very high RPMs. So like if you'll get an auto rifle, it'll typically be 720 rounds per minute, which is like the second highest RPM you can get on an auto rifle. But their intrinsic perk is the more headshots you do, the higher chance the gun will just refund all of the bullets you've already spent in the magazine. So you kind of have a bullet hose that you're encouraged to shoot precision shots with, shoot sort of accurately, and as a result, you'll kind of get rewarded. The cool part about that is that perk doesn't take up one of the two existing perk slots. So you still have your perks where you still have your first two slots, which is like your barrel, your sight, and like your magazine type stuff like that. Then you have your regular two perks that have kind of your standard Destiny 2 weapon perks. And then there's another perk slot that just has like the Viced perk, the Suros perk, stuff like that, the Throne World perk. So it's kind of this extra additional bonus on top of all of these perks that are really strong to begin with. So it's kind of this neat thing where it's like, I have guns that are like this before, but these ones are kind of markedly better because they are inherently just a little bit better. But not in a way where it's like, this trash, like throwing out your entire vault. Nothing like that. Gosh, how are you feeling about this so far, Moon?
I don't know. Number one, where's my pinnacle playlists? Like, where's my gold dots?
So you have to hit 1500 to do that.
Okay.
So
okay.
Real quick for maybe anybody that's coming as maybe a lapsed Destiny 2 player, you start at power level 1350. Literally anything that drops in the game will get you up to 1500. Once you hit 1500, the powerful and pinnacle rewards will show up. Because before then, if you get it, it's not going to do anything. Because like a blue will get you, +5. But once you hit 1500,
oh yeah, I'm wearing all blues right now.
Yeah, once you get to 1500. All of those wonderful gold icons will show back up.
Okay, because I got a little bit frustrated because I've got really great gear in my vault right now, but I'm not spending an upgrade cube every 2 seconds on every 100%. Single piece of armor I've got. So
yeah, save that until 1500. Yeah,
exactly. So I'm gonna wait for that and get that all taken care of.
Yeah.
Without spoiling anything, the story is very interesting. Like, very interesting. There are a lot of things here that's really pulling it at me. But I'm thinking, is this only pulling it at me because I've been playing this game since Destiny 1? Because I know so much of the lore around the base mechanics of Destiny.
Right.
Because there's a thing that happens in, like, that very first or second campaign mission where you do a thing to a thing. And it's like, wait, hold on a minute. That's not supposed to happen.
We can talk a little bit about it. One of the things about the the big question in this expansion is now the Hive, one of the bad guy races, have the light powers that we do, and they have ghosts. So the sort of question is that's kind of being continually asked ever since you run into it is like, well, how did that happen? Because I thought we were the only ones. The big space traveler in the sky is the one who gave us all these powers. How did the bad guys have it? You know, how did Savathun get it? Like, if she's really bad, what does this all mean? And dealing with, they showed this in sort of the lead up to the game, is kind of dealing with the big bad Lucent Hive, which are the light equipped Hive. They are using the same supers and powers we have, like getting hit by an enemy blade barrage from a hunter and like them throwing a scatter grenade is infuriating.
Like I never realized how that now during PvE stuff I need to keep an eye out for enemy supers, which is a nightmare. It's legitimately terrible.
And it even calls out when an enemy activates their super. It even calls out in the lower left-hand corner, like a Lucent Hive is wielding the light. Like it pops up a message like ours does when we activate our super. But the way to take care of them is when you kill them, their ghost pops out. If you don't do anything for a couple of seconds, they just come back to life because they have the light power and their ghost is rezzing them. So the only way to do that is, as they have shown in trailers and stuff, this is a minor spoiler if you haven't run into it yet, you just crush their ghost. You just like reach out with your hand and just like,
well, so it can't be that big of a spoiler because we all know, what was it, CAD 6?
Yeah,
how he died was because they killed his ghost and then killed him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's this kind of interesting, it's a really good scene the first time you do it. And after that, in kind of a morbid way, it is a very satisfying thing to just run up to this ghost, hit your finisher button, and just crunch and just smash this thing in your hand.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a cool mission.
I like that. I do like the being forced to use different weapons now, like the orange exclamation points.
Yep.
I like the story. I don't like the fact that none of my guns that I love to use are worth anything right now because of the whole light level thing.
Right, yeah.
I'm gonna have to cycle through. I don't like the fact that the glaive is fine so far. It seems interesting enough.
I need to find a good role. So there's a new weapon archetype in this too, the glaive, which is like a really long stabby pole that also shoots people, but it's also a shield. I really don't like it yet, but I feel like if I get that one roll that clicks with me, I might. But it might be like sniper rifles for me, where it's like, yeah, people love them and I don't use them.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. I'm not sure how I feel about needing to use it to level up. I think is a little bit dumb. Like you can unlock higher level perks on the glaive by using it more and leveling it up, and then you unlock higher level perks. Like I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, the good part about it though is that's the part about weapon crafting that I find really interesting is any gun you can craft does the same thing. Whereas you use the gun, you have a wider pool of perks to apply to that gun. I think that's a cool idea, sort of in the short term. The first blush on it seems pretty. Like I crafted that fusion rifle I really like, and it's like, all right, now I can put like my perfect roll on that, and I get access to more and better perks the more I use it. It's a cool idea so far.
I haven't even like tried crafting anything other than the glaive so far. Like that's the only thing I've crafted.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fine, I guess, so far.
There's a lot.
I'm interested to see where it goes. Like I said, I'm probably maybe done 5 or 6 of the campaign missions, maybe.
Yeah.
But I also got a couple of messages where it's like, oh, you're just not at the light level. You need to do this thing. And it's like, okay, I guess I'm going to go do Vanguard stuff for a little bit so I can get more drops.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some stuff, especially...
I equip my
go ahead.
Vanguard Ghost. And use
Go
my
nuts.
Vanguard Ghost to hope they get double drops.
Yeah. The only thing I wish they would have done is I wish they would made a clearer line between here's the Witch Queen stuff and here's the seasonal stuff, because there's a bunch of seasonal stuff that, like, I know the difference between them because I've been playing Destiny for so long, but even I was like, okay, cool, I got this new mission, and it's like, you need to be 1530, and I'm like, I'm 1375. What is... Oh, it's the seasonal. Okay, I don't have to worry about any of this half of the game right now. I'll get there. Like, I went to go do an exotic mission they gave me, and I was like, why am I getting one shot? Everything is 1550 in there. That's...
I got
okay.
that mission.
Yeah, for, like, the grenade launcher or whatever, and I was like, I will do that in a month. Okay. So I wish there was a clearer line between the two, because you're clearly supposed to do the Witch Queen stuff first, because they kind of keep you along the same, like, power level for a lot of that stuff, and there's this other stuff here that's like, yeah, you can do that later. Don't worry about that right now. So
yeah. No,
but,
it's okay so far, and mechanically, Bungie have always made fantastic shooters. So
yeah, it still feels good to play.
Yeah, it's still really fun to actually just put out your gun and shoot things in it.
Yeah, and I'm still only, like, sifting through, because the nice thing that Bungie does with a lot of these campaigns is you kind of finish the main campaign, and then there's a whole bunch of stuff that unlocks after that for like, most of it is kind of dealing with the fallout of the story beats that happened. One interesting thing is there's an investigations board where you're kind of doing investigation missions that are kind of cropping up. So far, some of those seem kind of cool, where it's these longer form missions in the game that are kind of dealing with questions that popped up during the storyline. So far, that stuff seems pretty neat.
Yeah, I did one of them for Flinch, which turned out to be pretty cool.
Yeah. But otherwise, it seems great. I feel like the caveat to always say is, if you don't like Destiny, it's not the one that's going to bring you in. It's not suddenly the game that you have always wanted it to be as someone who doesn't like Destiny. If you've liked Destiny and maybe you dip in for every expansion, you play it and you kind of dip back out, that's certainly a great way to play the game, because you don't really have to be married to Destiny as your only game you play every single day. Usually there's cool stuff to do every week if you're in the season. But if you're looking to play, like, a cool Destiny expansion, this is definitely one of the best ones. And if you haven't played for a while, everything you own, including your character, is already at light level 1350. So you just hop in, you can start the campaign right away. So none of, like, well, you and your friends are going to drag you through some boring stuff to start the campaign. It's not like that. They are smartly avoiding all that stuff.
I'm curious to see how they treat the characters I have that don't have stasis, to see if they just straight dump me with stasis, or if they send me to...
Yeah, that's a good
Ice
question.
Planet
I'm not sure.
first.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you have to finish Beyond Light or not. That's an interesting question. I'm not sure. You did have to do it during Beyond Light, but I'm not sure if they've changed anything. But yeah, Witch Queen is really great. I had a blast with it. I'm excited to do kind of the second half of the Legendary campaign with the Destiny crew this week. And I'm excited to kind of keep digging into it. This season seems really great. This expansion seems really great. I've, like, based on the 2 titles for the season and the expansion, I've done, like, literally nothing, and that's all I've played this week. So the amount of content in there seems pretty exciting. But I'll talk about it a little bit here and there, but that's probably going to be the big Destiny update from me. We'll talk about it more too, definitely when Moon finishes the campaign. But so far so good. Everything seems great.
Yep.
That's all I've been playing this week. So let's take a break. We've been recording for so long already. Oh my god. Good thing I don't have any, like, questions or anything. I have very few news stories.
Yep. I still got one more show to do, dude.
Yeah, that's we roguelike it. That won't be too long.
She says, not knowing what Moon's done this week.
I certainly haven't played much of it this week, so I won't be the one with lots to say. Everyone should play Crown Trick. It's very good.
Uh-huh.
Oh man. Also, I'm kind of digging the Elden Ring chat here. I like it. Good stuff. I largely have Elden Ring muted and Breath of the Wild muted on Twitter because I was seeing the same tweets over and over again where it's like, oh, this is Breath of the Wild Dark Souls. It's like, yes, I get it. Like, it is, but just go play it. Well, like, just go play it and just enjoy it. Like, you don't need to tweet through it.
It has also been fun on Reddit, just seeing random people talking about stuff. I'm like, I have no clue what you're talking about.
I don't even know what region that is.
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly.
Is that a weapon? I don't know. Yeah.
I actually had because I had to look up how to be able to start summoning the creatures, because I found a summon and I was like, oh, okay, maybe I can use it. But no, there's another item that you need to actually be able to do the summoning, and I couldn't figure out where it was. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna look that up and see what I have to do. And even that was cryptic as hell.
Over the moors in the midnight moon. It's like, wait, no, stop, just man.
Hey, you gotta know some Shakespeare if you're gonna enjoy a Souls game.
That's right. That's right. All right, you guys ready to do this next part?
Yep. I guess.
All right, starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's talk releases for the week of February 28th, 2022. Elex 2 comes out, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series consoles, and the PC. This was a kind of maybe like a B-tier semi-open world third-person action RPG on PS4 and Xbox One, I think, that kind of had kind of a rather rabid fan base. It's one of those games where it's like, I've never heard of it, but boy, a lot of people really like it. It reminds me a lot of what's that Spiders game on Mars that we played, Nimp? That like really
Action?
No, the one
crap.
The Technomancer?
Yeah,
Yes.
the Technomancer. Reminds me a lot of that, where it's like, you got some cool ideas, you do not have a big budget, but you are stretching it as far as you can. It's a cool thing.
How do I know that name?
That's, you forgot somebody's birthday to bring up the Technomancer. That's why.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to talk about an Alpha Protocol type game, go play Technomancer.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Yeah, what a wild thing. Far Changing Tides is coming out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series console, Switch, and PC. I've been keeping an eye on this one for a while because this very much seems like a me game, where it's this kind of very low action, chill, introspective kind of boat piloting, building game. Watch a trailer for it. It seems pretty cool. You will know immediately if it's a game for you or not.
Dude, I'm still scared of boats after we roguelike it.
No, it's true. Puzzle Quest 3 comes out iOS, Android, and PC. Reminder, this is a free-to-play game. We do not yet know what the downside of that is, because I feel like there's probably going to be a downside to that.
Yeah.
I've been watching trailers for this for a little bit. I've been watching some beta footage. Without getting my hands on this, I do not know about this game, but I'm more than happy to try it out because I like Puzzle Quest 1 and 2, and not a lot else that they have made, and this one looks like an interesting take on their own formula. So I'm hoping to spend some time with that this week and hopefully have some impressions next week. Shadow Warrior 3 comes out PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Boy, they have been doing a huge marketing push on this and seemingly not answering the question of, is this a loot game like the second one? Because that seems to be the breaking point for a lot of people. Understandably, I never played the second one. The first one was fine. this looks like another Shadow Warrior game, sort of for good and for bad. So I feel like you kind of know whether or not that's your jam or not. Next game here, Babylon's Fall comes out PS4, PS5, and PC. This is the Square Enix published, Platinum Games developed live service game, which is just like, yes, no. They have announced their first season, which I believe is free if you buy the game out of hand, which is like a $60 game. It, of course, has a near tie-in with it because it's a Square Enix game at this point, and they're just tossing it in everything. I said this on Pup. I'll say it again here. I do not want to disparage a game before it has come out because I haven't put my hands on it. I haven't played it. We don't have the full picture. This looks bad. This looks. Just go watch a long form gameplay trailer of this. This just looks bad. This is a super duper bummer, and woof, man. I don't know. It's $60, man. Gran Turismo 7 comes out on the PS4 and the PS5. This and the next game kind of really snuck up on us. I feel like for the longest time they're like, yeah, we're working on GT7. Like, don't even worry about it. It's like, yep, it's out.
It's exactly what I was going to say, where it's like, I haven't heard anything about this. And then last week, I started hearing people talk about it. And then today, I saw in an ad that, hey, it's releasing this week.
Yeah,
what?
I feel like during one of those state of plays, they had like a long form trailer of like, here's like a lap or two around a course. And I was like, yeah, that looks incredible, like all the Gran Turismo games. To me, it's like, I know the difference between Forza Horizon games from one to the other, but like, you give me a Forza Motorsport or a GT game, and I'm like, yeah, cool, these cars look really great, and they go real fast, and that's all I know. I don't know. You ask me to tune a car, and I'm out.
I was going to say, really, I think it's always just been a gearhead thing, and this is how you technically push whatever system this is on.
Yep. It looks really good. Like I'm sure you have like a super good 4K HDR TV, and I'm sure it looks incredible. Break out your driving wheels. Let's do it. And last but certainly not least here, Triangle Strategy comes on the Switch. Another one where it's like, hey, we've been working on this for a while. It's out now. It's like, oh, okay, cool. The last thing I saw was like every day they kept announcing a new character for the game, and they were just like, yeah, here's our 55th character. I was like, what is this? What game are you making? But yeah, this looks really great. I haven't played any of the demos. The demo they just recently put out, I know, is a bit of a longer one, and your progress carries over into the full game. So if you're looking to check out what looks like a really cool strategy RPG, Triangle Strategy looks really good. So we'll find out soon. Speaking of RPGs, let's move on to our news stories. Atlas announces their new Soul Hackers. It's actually not an anime or a clothing line. It's actually Soul Hackers 2, a legitimate, honest-to-God video game that Atlas is making. It's okay. Oh. Cool. Their last one, the last one came out on the Saturn and was lightly remastered for the 3DS. They're making another one, and it looks super cool.
Now with the customized Jack Frost.
Yes, that's right.
Is this the one that they announced for Xbox as well?
Yes, Atlas has discovered Xbox development kits. Yeah, it's wild because SMT5 came out only on the Switch. Soul Hackers 2 is coming out for everything except for the Switch. So I am not entirely sure what that is, but really excited to see an Xbox One and Series console badge on that trailer, along with PS4, PS5, PC. Like, I'm really excited to see that come out on a platform that can probably handle their games, which is I'm starting to get real worried about SMT5 not coming out on anything else, which is a real bummer because
Yeah.
not sure how much I can play of that game. Yikes. But yeah, it is wild we're getting another Soul Hackers game. It's wild we're getting another SMT spin-off that isn't Persona. And it doesn't seem like it's tied to the previous game or any of the other previous games so far. I'm sure there'll be like wink and nod stuff like there always is. But wild to see Atlas do like a multi-day teaser thing that didn't turn into, here's a 13-episode anime, and everyone goes, ugh. Or nowadays, here's an NFT, and everyone goes, boo, hiss, boo, get them. Which they rightly should. Get them. Was Emma?
I was just gonna say, I don't know. It doesn't. No, you don't have it here. We didn't talk about the Capcom thing.
The Capcom thing. Which one of their things?
The one where they had to count down the tournament didn't care about their countdown.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Capcom had a bit of a rough week with unveiling Street Fighter 6 that is just like a CG trailer as far as I have seen, with a radically different logo that is uninspired is probably the way to put it.
I saw somebody describe it as it looks like Street Fighter has got 600 emails, which tickled me to no end.
Well, I've heard that. Really, I've heard other people say it looks like some weird cryptocurrency icon.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, it's one of the surprising things where it's like, I know Street Fighter kind of has to take the next step after Street Fighter 5 was a bit of a free-to-play stumble. But I don't think you do that by keeping the like cool swipey ink stuff off of the logo. Like those logos are cool. Like those are memorable things, and this looks like an esports team's logo. Like it's a real whiff in a way that it just Capcom usually doesn't do. Usually Capcom is like, we're remastering, Ghosts and Goblins again. And you're like, Capcom, come on. Like, whose passion project is this? What are you doing? This is the 15th time you did this. Nobody wants this anymore.
The good news is they are remastering and re-releasing in a collection like 25 like fighting games, it looked like.
Yeah, they have. I forgot about that. That actually does look cool. They're doing like a light remaster and re-release for a whole bunch of some of their classic, like Darkstalkers tier kind of non-Street Fighter fighting games. That collection does look legitimately pretty cool. I think that could be a cool thing. Yeah. And our last news story here, a news story that I think is getting a lot of memes at the moment, but I think from a business perspective could potentially be really huge. Activision might skip Call of Duty this year. I wrote this down, making the first time they've done this in forever? ? I can't think of since like maybe Modern Warfare. Yeah, like the original Modern Warfare, which is also a wild thing to say, like the first Modern Warfare. I don't know if they have skipped a year with like 3 or 4 studios working on those games at this point. I think the biggest thing is, I think you could potentially see an interesting ripple effect if they skip it this year, where a whole bunch of people are going to have $70 burning a hole in their pocket that usually goes to Call of Duty every year, and now it could potentially not. Like, obviously, if they skip it, Activision and I guess now Microsoft's stock price will probably not go in the direction they want it to, but that's not super my concern. But I'd be curious to see if something like, say, Starfield comes out at the end of this year, and maybe some of the Call of Duty $70 maybe goes towards something like that, which I guess also Microsoft owns, which is kind of a depressing thing now that I'm having that realization live on the air here.
But the flip side of that, Boston, is you get to play for free, essentially.
It's on Game Pass.
Yeah, that's on Game Pass too, so go get Game Pass, I guess. Activision's statement here, I think, sort of nails the way that they're going to spin this. They say, quote, "We have an exciting slate of premium and free-to-play Call of Duty experiences for this year, next year, and beyond. Reports of anything otherwise are incorrect. We look forward to sharing more details when the time's right," end quote. So I feel like...
Just for the record, by the way, you were right. Call of Duty 1, 2-year
Yeah.
gap, Call of Duty 2, every single year since,
That's wild.
which includes a double drop in 2016 of Infinite and Modern Warfare Remastered.
Ah, right.
And then there's the one, not last year, but in 2022, the Modern Warfare 2 Remaster got released, but no new game got released that
Right,
year.
because last year was Black Ops Cold War?
Nope, last year was Vanguard.
Last year was Vanguard. I missed one. How could I miss one of the 25 that came out in the last 20 years?
The one that everyone's yelling about, saying that it's not good.
That's right. Just after the last one that wasn't good. So I feel like you can they kind of laid their marketing plan here kind of bare, where it's like, no Call of Duty this year. Anyways, Vanguard, Vanguard, you can still play that Warzone. You guys want to play some more Warzone? We've got Warzone 2.0 coming out, or whatever they're gonna sort of spin that as. So, I guess it's interesting that maybe Warzone will allow teams to miss. I'm sure they're still crunching because it's Activision, but maybe this will ease a little bit of the pressure on some of these teams to ship something every 9 months with Warzone out there, which I'm sure the Warzone team is crunching too because it's Activision. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. The whole thing is a little bit of a bummer. Stop crunching the industry. I think if this happens this year, this might be a bigger story than it might seem, because I don't know where that $70 will go.
I mean, all you got to do is like look at the difference that taking a gap year did for Assassin's Creed. We've had arguably three of the best Assassin's Creed games ever in the past 4 games.
Yep. And when did Valhalla came out? A year and a half, 2 years ago at this point, I think?
Last year it came out. I think this year is their skip year.
Right. Oh, because it came out really early last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they've been putting out a bunch of big DLC packs that are legitimately very big. But yeah. I know they're working on Infinite or Infinity.
Whatever the thing that they're talking about, it sounds like they're just going to do what Call of Duty did.
Right, whereas it's just a launcher.
A launcher.
Yeah.
And then you just buy whatever.
The AC launcher.exe.
I was gonna say, it's not going to link up with Halo Infinite.
Oh man, the crossover of the centuries. Well, and there's also a rumor.
My apologies.
Oh god.
Valhalla came out 2020, November 10th, 2020.
Oh, okay, that makes sense because we were still playing it in February 2021. The other rumor that's been going around about Assassin's Creed 2 is that they're potentially working on kind of a short, stealth-focused game to kind of bridge the gap between Valhalla and Infinite or Infinity, whatever, and 8 laying on its side. That could potentially be an interesting thing. I hope they don't do like a side story thing, because literally none of those have worked for Assassin's Creed. I feel like most of the fan base, if it is not a tentpole Assassin's Creed release, they are not buying it, and they're certainly not playing it. Like those cool 2D side scrollers.
They released it on PSP and then Vita.
Yeah, well, I think it was on the 360 and the PS4. They came out with those 3 cool side-scrolling stealth platformer things, like
India, China, and something
Russia?
Else.
Yeah, I think
Russia,
it was Russia.
Yes.
Yeah,
India, China, Russia.
Those were all really cool, but they're kind of not the main Assassin's Creed games. So I bought them and they were fine, but they weren't Valhalla. They weren't Odyssey. So interesting. All right, that's all our news stories this week, which means that's also our episode this week, because we've been recording for a very long time. Thanks, Elden Ring and Destiny, for being good. Sheesh.
Yes.
If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at tvgp.tv. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right-hand side of the page, including the link to the Discord server. Please come join us over there. The best community on the internet is all gathered over there. They're all very cool and chill, and we're there too. I'd like to think we're cool and chill too, but
No.
who knows?
Some of us are cool, some of us are chill. None of us are both. You figure it out.
None of us
specifically.
None of us are Keanu Reeves. He's cool and chill.
He's also a mole.
That's true. Don't forget to patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones be numbers.
You got all the cool stuff. Told you about all the cool things at the beginning of the show. You can get all that cool stuff. $5 a month. That's the recommended tier. Your financial support helps us pay for the show, the hosting, the software. If you guys keep supporting us, eventual hardware upgrades, mics and cables, and there's probably a dongle in there or two. A new computer for Moon would be great. All that stuff. Oh, yes. Sorry. I'm very tired today. You can figure out where all your hard-earned money goes on the page over there. I'm transparent about all the budgeting and all that. You can find all of that patreon.com/E1M1.
The ones are numbers.
If you can't support us financially, we totally understand. The best ways to support the show is by rating it 5 stars wherever you listen, and especially going and telling your friends. Word of mouth is huge for any and all podcasts you listen to. So if you listen to other shows than this one, I don't know why you would. But if you listen to other...
I couldn't even get to listen to TVGP.
I couldn't even get away with it. Any other shows you listen to and this show, that support helps a ton. So please go tell your friends. And if you're trying to listen to this show somewhere we aren't, please send us a message and I'll try and get us over there. I think that's all of it for this week. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Jesus.
The Cadbury Bunny over there. I love that they're still airing that commercial like 30 years later.
Why change a good thing?
Yep.
I still miss the... It's now called Dime, but it was called something else. But I wish I could remember what it was called, because it was the Armadillo advert in England. It was my favorite set of commercials.
I feel like I've seen those and I don't know what they're for.
The candy bar is now called Dime, D-A-I-M, but it was called something else at the time. It was probably called Dime, D-I-M-E.
Sure.
But crunchy on the outside, smooth on the inside.
There you go.
That was the Armadillos, though.
Right. Nymph, what are your titles for this week?
All right. I have You're Walking a Terabyte, The Helman-Kruger Rule, I'll Poison Your Stem Cells, Contact Hype, My Core Has 4 More Grenades, and The Big Space Traveler in the Sky.
Right. My favorite song from the 60s and 70s. Moon, what do you have?
Beatles did a great cover of that.
That's right.
From Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Spaceship Club. I don't know which one's worse.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's getting a veto, but I don't care. My Big Release.
I had that written down, but didn't say it.
my only tweak to that one is we do the one I wrote down, which is That Wasn't Much Better.
Mm-hmm. Nano Machine Son. 47 Hitman Guy. Use Those Chapters. The Assassin's Creed Problem. Delete People, which is a superpower I wish I sometimes had. Upgrade Cube. But Super Duper Bummer and Lightly Remastered.
And Lightly Remastered is actually pretty good. I have That Wasn't Much Better, Walking a Terabyte, Contact Hype, and I'll put down Lightly Remastered too.
For me, it's between Contact Hype and Lightly Remastered.
I like Contact Hype a lot. I think that one's probably my front runner.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay. I shall circle it. Let me know when
I'm
you're
ready.
I'm
Okay.
ready.
All right, starting in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 749 for February 28th, 2022. Contact Hype.
Watch a trailer, take a nap.
Y'all got any of that good hype in here?
All right, thank you very much, everyone, for hanging out with us, watching, listening. Big shout outs to Delansk12 in chat, Baba Hawk, and Dimebag315, people that are joining in for the first time or coming in for a viewing after a while. Love seeing you all here. Shout out to Pharaoh Reigns for hanging out with us every week. Appreciate everybody. I hope I'll see you all next week. Bye.
Boy.